a wonderful.
It's so fun to see some familiar faces and some new faces, some new locations too. Uh, so I'm Melissa Esplin. I run calligraphy.org and I am obsessed with Sakura Jelly Roll Retractable pens. We are going to do a journaling layout today. In this journaling layout, we're going to play around with line quality, with color theory. So you're not just learning, okay, this is how you can do one layout and you can do that same layout over and over and over again, but I'm going to teach you some theory so that you can apply it in a few different ways to journaling, to card making, to art making, really just about to anything. So let's talk about the materials that we're going to use today. I'm going to switch to my overhead camera. Here we have, oh, looks like I forgot to switch my settings real quick. I'm so sorry. There we go. That's a much better view. Okay, so you want to have some paper. Any kind of paper really works. I love working inside a journal. The paper I'll be using today is Arnhem 1816. It's a speedball printing ink paper. You can use hot press, cold press. You can use regular print. This is regular printer paper here. Really, there's no wrong paper to use today. Then I will also be using the Sakura Koi watercolor set. This is such a fun set. The nice thing about this, and if you're not using the same set that I have today, just make sure that you have nice big wells where you can fill in a lot of pigment, because we will be using a lot of water, which brings us to the next tool that we will be using today, and that is off screen for me. It is a big clear jar of water. Then the next item we'll be using, this is the size 12 flat brush by Simply Simmons. You can get it at Michael's. Any flat brush will do. This different size of flat brush will just give you a slightly different effect. So there's really no wrong size. We'll just be focusing on flat brush techniques in general. If you have only a round brush on hand, you can still do the project with us. It's just going to have, again, a slightly different effect. Then last but not least, we have the Sakura Jelly Roll Retractable pens. I have a selection of their glitter, metallic, and regular colors. I'm kind of working in this analogous color schemes. If you haven't heard the word analogous before, that is the colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So blues, greens, silver, I feel like is always just a neutral, so it really doesn't quite count. And occasionally yellows. So we'll just stick within that particular array of the color rainbow. So those are all the materials that you really need today. If you need, you can also grab a pencil. I have, oops, wrong pencil. I have a bunch of different pencils. And I can't seem to find the one that I want right now. But here's just a humble mechanical pencil this is from my website, calligraphy.org. But any kind of pencil will really do. If you want the pencil markings to blend, I highly recommend getting yourself a watercolor pencil. Those are really great because the pencil markings themselves disappear as you paint. So there's no need to erase anything. And one of the things about watercolor and pencil markings is that if you draw something in pencil, watercolor on top, you're basically fixing that graphite to the paper. There's no erasing that graphite after the fact. So that's where sometimes I just don't really use a pencil. But for the sake of understanding lines, where I'm going, I'll be using a regular pencil today so that you can see exactly where I'm going. So with that, a little bit of story time. I want to show you This is my fun journal. I call this my explorations journal. This is where there are no mistakes. There's nothing I can't do. There's no style I have to stick to. There's no subject matter that I have to stick to. It is my everything journal. So sometimes I draw in it, sometimes I paint in it, sometimes I play around with textures. This is my let's play around with everything journal. And a few months ago, I guess it was almost a year ago. Let's be real. Time just flies. I was playing around with this color palette, and I wanted to see what the colors looked like when they blended with each other, and being somewhat inspired by the complex network of pipes in this like industrial ceilings. You see the pipes kind of going along parallel to each other, then crossing and some looping. And that was the inspiration of this, just seeing what the colors do when they layer on top of each other, when they cross, and just really playing around with that. So this is where that inspiration comes from. And I left it plain. We'll be writing on ours today. And if you follow Michael's or Learn with Michael's on Instagram, or if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen a few journaling layouts where I write along these curved lines. So we'll talk about how to write along a curved line with confidence today. So we'll be focusing on all of those techniques. So I played around with this, and then I was at a retreat teaching down in St. George in April, and we worked on this fun little project where we created a layered layout. This was inspired by, so we went on this beautiful hike, and this hike had so many different layers and levels to it. So I drew it all out, but it was a very complicated thing, not very easy to teach a group of beginner watercolorists how to do this whole project. So we decided to do a textured version of the same thing. You see the same rough layout that I'm using with those little pipes. And then the next page, I add another texture and another texture. So this is another way that I have implemented this particular style of layout into something different. So just some fun ideas. And then I also made a fun greeting card that I'll be sending later today. And it's just, you know, those little greeting card sentiments. If you're new to calligraphy, new to lettering, it can be so daunting and intimidating to write in the front of a card. You feel like, oh, this has to be perfect. My spacing has to be just right. This solves that problem for you. So we can talk about how to do that, but it's just a fun way to write a few different sentiments along this little pipe thing. The recipient can look at it, read it, or it can just approach it as a texture. And it's just a really fun way to create a card in really under 5 minutes. So this is really just super fun. Okay, let's talk about color schemes. This is analogous, and this is also analogous. So I'm using colors red, orange, and yellow that are next to each other on the color wheel. And here I'm really just using blue and green, but a cooler blue, a warmer or cooler green, and a warmer green. So do we know what warm and cool greens mean? Because green is all a cool color. What that means is the cooler green is closer to the blue. The warmer green is closer to the yellow. So we're just spanning that little array within the greens from a cool green to a warm green, pushing from blue to yellow. So that's another idea. And this is another idea that we will finish up as we have time. Hopefully we'll have time, where I'm using a colored paper, which is really fun. It adds another element to the color scheme without you having to think about the colors. So it's kind of a little cheat code. I've left some open space, and this open space is rather organic. It's not fully centered, it's not fully straight. So if you're worried that, oh, I can't write in a straight line, you don't have to. In fact, it'd be preferred if you didn't write in a straight line. So you could write a small little journal entry inside this little frame, or you could write a greeting card sentiment or a person's name, and you're not being forced to stick to a straight line. You're wanting to stay inside this organic shape. So that reduces a lot of the stress to lettering. So another fun idea, fun way to implement this particular technique that we're going to be learning today. Okay, so we've got those ideas over here hanging out. Let's start off with how to approach the paint. We're using watercolor. You can use really any kind of paint that you want. You could even use oils and implement this idea on a canvas. But today we're going to work on some watercolor techniques. So this is very watercolor specific. You could also argue that you could implement this with gouache or acrylic, but today we're doing watercolor. One of the things that I personally enjoy is pre-wetting my pigments. I want to get really rich, beautiful, saturated, even pigments. So in order to do that, you can do a couple of different ways. I do recommend using a warm water. It doesn't have to be like microwave hot, but warm out of the tap. You can use a warmer water that's going to dissolve the pigments faster. If you don't have warm water, if you're just plain lazy like I often am, you can just grab water out of the tap, but then pre-wet it. I have a little eyedropper here. It's just like one of those little lab droppers. And I will just drop a little bit of water in the colors that I plan on using. I'm just gonna put them on all of them because I don't want to limit myself to any one color on the palette. So I'm just pre-wetting these. If you don't have an eyedropper, no big deal. You just get your brush, swirl it around, and just like almost pick up the water and then stab in the air, just kind of dab like this, and let that water drip off of your brush. And that'll allow the pigments to get nice and wet. Because we're doing these continuous line pieces, we want to be able to keep our hand or our brush on the paper for a long period of time. What does that mean? It means we want to have a good range of motion. So I want to make sure that my elbows can move freely on the desk and for me in my office. This means shoving a lot of other art projects out of the way. If you're messy like me, I can't work in a clean space. Somehow it has to be messy in order for my creative juices to flow. And then the other thing is we want to use a lot of pigment and a lot of water. We're going to basically create ourselves a well of ink. We want to think about it in terms of ink. So I like Melody's comment, a clean desk is a sign of a sick mind. I think I need to frame that and put that in my office. So I'm just, a couple of other things that I don't typically clean off my palette. Is it because I'm lazy? Maybe. Is it because there's so much good usable pigment here that I don't want to waste or throw it away? Also, maybe. Another thing is because I have all these little micro pigments of other colors in there, it creates these like yummier, richer tones that I really enjoy. So that's one reason why I just don't clean off my palette. So you'll see a messy palette always. Everybody works a little bit differently. I'm not saying you're wrong by cleaning off your palette every single time you paint. It's a you do you situation. So I'm going to add a little bit more water in here. I'm adding a lot of water. And one of the things that I like to remind my students is this is watercolor. This is not color water. So water always comes first. So that is the biggest ingredient to all of your projects. I'm going to go for this yummy olivey foresty, muddy green. So I'm gonna grab this jewel toned green, which is very pretty, but I want to just mute it a tiny bit. So I will get my brush wet, clean it off, and pull some orange. The nice thing about orange, so orange is part red, part yellow. Red is the opposite of green, which mutes the green, but I also don't want to make it dead. So the yellow kind of brightens it up a little bit. That's why I add orange to my green. That creates a really wonderful pigment here. I've got plenty of pigment here. This is like, think of it as a milky consistency. We don't want it to be like heavy cream. I like my dairy a lot. We don't want it to be like a sour cream. We don't want it to be like 1% milk either. We want it to be like good whole milk, nice and creamy. So I've got a couple of rules. I've got this pigment prepared, and I'll end up preparing the other pigments as well. What I want to do as I'm starting on this project, let's pull this up so you can see the whole page, is I like to start on the outside and work my way in. And I'm going to rotate my paper. I'm going to rotate my hand. There's a lot of rotations involved. There's no top or bottom yet. So what I'm going to do is start off with showing you a right hand turn, just a right angle. And this both works for lefties and righties. You're going to hold your brush exactly the same, and you're just going to be able to rotate your brush in your hand. So as a guide, just so you see where I'm going to go before I go there, I'm going to start on this left hand side, and I'm going to come down and do a compound turn. This turn goes 2 directions. Scoop that up just a little bit so you can see just a bit better. Okay, so this is the line that I'm going to follow. And Lana has a great question. Do we start with the darkest color first? I'm going to use blue. This actually doesn't matter. This is where you can do light colors first, and then dark colors, and then light colors, because we're doing a series of layering. It actually is entirely up to you. This is you get to go wherever your mind takes you. So I am going to get my pigment, and I'm just dipping my brush in there and trying to get every single last bristle from my brush to soak up as much pigment as possible. And then I'm going to come over here. I'm holding the pen between my index finger and my thumb, with my middle finger as kind of my guide. My ring finger and pinky finger don't do anything. And if you've attended any of my classes with Michael's or online anywhere else, you'll know that I'm basically using a modified tripod grasp, which I talk about all the time. I will not stop talking about the tripod grasp. It is the preferred grasp of artists everywhere. So instead of having my pen angle down below like this, let's get this a little bit darker. There we go. Instead of having my brush angle pretty low like this, I'm having it upright like this. So I'm using the same grip, but by just adjusting and bringing my fingers in a little bit, I get to change that pitch of my brush, okay? And then I can rotate using my index finger and my thumb so I can make those turns. So let's show you. We'll do a couple from this angle and a couple from overhead so you can really see exactly what's going on. I'm going to start here. I'm going to start just from the edge of this paper. I'm going to remove, I've got a stack of papers. So let's just have one piece of paper here. I'm going to come from off the paper and come on like this. And I'm pulling with my whole arm, bringing my hand down. And then I'm coming to that corner. So I'm just rotating, pulling my elbow out, and rotating the brush, pulling my elbow in, and coming all the way down. You can go as fast or as slow as you want. Okay, so let's try it with this a different angle. Okay, so I have this other, let's do another line where we just did a right angle. Let's come around here and bring it this way. So one of my unwritten, unspoken rules is that I like to come together at a 90-degree angle. I like to intersect at a 90-degree angle. My camera is wigging out. It doesn't know where to focus. Okay, so I'm going to pull that pigment. I'm going to get a different pigment here. Let's get blue. I'm loading up a lot of pigment, just really pulling at that watercolor, putting it down here, adding a lot of water. And I'm just adding it with my brush this time instead of the eyedropper. So I'm just really working that into every single bristle of my brush. Okay, so I'm going to do this right angle here. Same idea, I'm holding it upright, but now my brush alignment is this direction. It's a different angle. Pull it around. I'm just going straight in on top. Okay, now I twist it, bring my elbow in and twist it again. And I'm actually moving my whole torso over with this. Okay, so here we have this nice intersection. Now, excuse me. When I intersect, you've got two different colors here. See, I start off dark and it ends light. If you need it to be the exact same color and you don't want to have this variation or the ombre in your color, then you need to pick up your brush a lot and work this water all the way around so that it's very wet all the way around. Excuse me. Or you want to use a dedicated watercolor paper. This is just a printing paper. A dedicated watercolor paper is going to have the right amount of sizing in it so that you can you can let the water just kind of sits on top and allows you to manipulate the water and the pigment for a little bit longer. So using a dedicated high quality watercolor paper is going to give you more time if you want to have the exact same consistent colors. So, all right, we've got a couple of different lines. I made two right angles. Now let's bring those closer together and create a 180-degree turn. We're creating a U-turn. So here, let's do a U-turn where I can bisect this. I'm gonna come over here and let's see. We're gonna go this direction. And then I'm gonna come a little closer to this and U-turn and get closer to here. So we're just hugging this side. That's what we're gonna do. And we can let's get our warm green together. So our warm green is going to be using this pigment. I don't know the number of it, but it looks like an OD, like an army green. You can achieve this color by mixing just about any green, like a viridian green and yellow ochre, but just use a lot more yellow ochre than you use viridian green. I love these wells where I can just put so much pigment and water in here and it just sits and I can mix it so nicely. Okay. load up my brush. Okay, now we're going to try our hand at a 180-degree turn. So let's switch cameras again so you can see this whole movement all the way. So I'm going to start here just from off the screen or off the page. Pull, bring my brush up and rotate. This is where I just want to move nice and slow. And I'm moving my whole body away. This is just a little too light for me. I want to darken that up, so I'm going to come back the other direction and retrace my steps. So if you're not getting very consistent lines, it's because you're applying more pressure. So let's do a zigzag, and I'm going to show you what I mean by applying more pressure and creating a different type of line weight. So we're going to start here up at the top, and we're going to create a zigzag like this and come down this way. And I'm going to do this with the blue. And again, there are no wrong answers when it comes to the colors that you're using. You could use colors that you think, oh, these are going to look terrible together. But if you pick basically 3 colors, it's going to look intentional. So here, I'm going to start just from off the screen, 90-degree angle, or off the page, I mean, not off the screen. And I'm rotating my brush. Now, if you don't rotate your brush and you just go flat, see how that line weight changes? So you can go back and fix it if you need to. It's a lot easier to fix it when it's still wet, which is why we like to use a lot of water. Now, if I apply a lot of pressure, that pushes each bristle out really far and creates a slightly different line weight there too. There is nothing wrong with any of these techniques, but if you're looking to get really consistent lines, and you're not getting them and you don't know why, that's going to explain it for you. So you see how I have slightly inconsistent lines here? That's okay. That is totally okay. There is no wrong answer on this paper at all today, which is just, I think it's really important to work and create projects. Create projects where there are no mistakes and say, this is what I'm going to learn today and there are no mistakes. It's going to reduce the amount of anxiety that you'll have when it comes to approaching that plain paper. But it also, when you're not working from a place of anxiety, you're actually going to create some of your best work. So yes, free the perfectionist. Yes, well said, Michelle. So there are no hard and fast rules. I really like this little layout here. I feel like it's just so fun and playful and simple, but for the sake of this class, I think we should just fill up the whole page. So we're going to do that. We're going to work on, okay, what do we do next? I feel like we need to add more things. So I think right here, I'm going to add a couple of arches and maybe just a single line right there. So I'm going to grab my warm green. And if your pigments, it was off screen so you couldn't really see, but I still had a little bit of blue on my brush when I went to go mix up this OD green, and it changed the color a little bit. It's okay, no big deal. Again, no rules. So this is where coming this way and working to the left just feels awkward. What you can do is, if you're not sure, like, is this going to be awkward? I don't know. Should I rotate the page? Just over the air, see how I'm not engaging with the paper? I'm just mimicking that movement, and I'm realizing I don't like that movement. I want to do it a different direction. So I'm going to rotate it. And again, in the air, I'm like, okay, do I want to do it that way? No, I think I want to do it this way. So I just rotated the paper 180 degrees because I can, and it's totally okay. Whatever direction feels the most confident and comfortable, rotate your paper so that you can achieve that. Okay, so I'm going to start here, just off the paper, come in and create my 180 degree U-turn and come back out. And I'm going to add just a little bit more on this side to even that out. And then I think I need to use my cool darker green, because I'm feeling like I'm only seeing that cool darker green once. So I'm going to put that in there. Same thing, I just start just off the page, come in and out. And I don't know if you noticed this. So you see my pencil markings? I'm not following my pencil markings perfectly. That's okay. What you want to do is you want to trust your hand more than you trust the pencil markings. The pencil markings are a guide to tell you where your eye should be going. And then your hand follows your eye. And wherever your hand goes, just follow those smoother movements. So for example, if I were doing like a really complicated flourish, I want my eyes to be where my pen needs to go. So it's just a little bit ahead. That way my hand will, in the most smooth and direct way, follow it. Otherwise, if my eyes are where my pen is, then I'm going to have worse line quality. Those sweeping lines aren't going to be quite so sweeping. They're going to be a little bit stunted, just in a way. Okay, so here I think I'm going to add the blue here because I want the blue to interact with that green in a fun way. And you know what? I'm going to add a little bit of darker blue. Again, because I'm working in an analogous color scheme, I can change these colors and have these colors kind of wander from side to side. And I'm going to come from the left-hand side and pull it over. Just stop. This is one of the few lines that ends in the page. Okay, Joan asks a really great question, and that is how to keep the underside of the pen clean, or the underside of the card clean while you're working. And that is gonna be pretty much impossible. See how dirty that is? That's okay. What you can do to keep the underside of the card clean is work slightly bigger than you intend to send, and then cut it down to size later. And that'll crop off some of those messier edges. So that is a really great question. Okay, let's finish up this layout. So I think I'm going to add, we've got blank space here and blank space here. I want to bridge this gap entirely. So I'm going to draw another line that goes all the way around here and then comes in and crosses here. And then maybe loops and comes off the page. Let's try that. This is a long movement coming down here all the way around. So I'll probably have to lift my brush and continue going. So let's get that. I think I want my green. And if you have the same color overlapping each other, that's great. You're going to create a darker intersection, which is really fun. So here I'm going to rotate my paper because it just feels more confident to pull down. And I'm pulling my whole arm down by my shoulder. And I'm lifting really right at the corner. I'm going to rotate that so I'm coming down yet again. And I start just outside of where I stopped, just inside of where I stopped, and continue my line. I'll show you from here. So I start over here rather than starting right here. Bring that, make that corner, cross, cross, cross. Then I rotate, and we need more pigment. I'm starting at an intersecting point so that it feels more fluid as I lift my brush. Rotate, and this is really awkward, off the page. So here we go. We're pretty much done with this layout. It's kind of fun. I feel like we've got a fair amount going on right here and not a whole lot going on right here. I think we need one more line to pull this whole thing together. So I think I'm going to come up through here and bisect this middle point and maybe arch over here, come off the page there. So we're going to be overlapping at not 90-degree angle right there, but I feel okay with that. I feel pretty okay with that. I think I need to do it in blue to balance it all out. And this is a way for you to practice trusting your gut. If you feel like something's just not quite balanced, trust it and play around with it. Okay, we're gonna go away from our body as we turn, because my hand, let's see if I can zoom this out just a little bit so that you can see. So here's my elbow right here. And if I plant my elbow, it creates a natural arc movement. If I just plant my elbow and use that as a pivot point. So going away and making that curve feels pretty natural. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go away as we make that curve. Zoom in a little closer and start from off the page. Keep that pressure even and come around and down. That feels a lot better, but I might want maybe one more line. I think we're going to just do a blunt line, just like we did right here, right there. Just going to come right here. Maybe add some here. We'll call that good. I feel like that feels good. So we've got our layout, and you can play around a lot more. There's no wrong layout, but having these just overlapping a little bit is going to help us create some long text threads. So let's start with writing on a curve. I'm going to grab another piece of paper and we can talk about how to write on a curve. So here we have our piece of paper, and I'm going to mark out a nice curved line. Let's do just an arch. So what we're visualizing here is, let's say, the top of a balloon, right? Or top of a bouncy ball. We want to think about the center of the bouncy ball and how everything radiates out of that bouncy ball. So instead of writing on a curve, let's say I write or doing a small one on what not to do. Instead of writing with everything on the same angle like this, the spacing feels a little awkward and it just kind of rises and falls. It just creates a very different effect. Let's radiate out everything that we write. So I'm going to write birthday here. So everything is parallel. So this particular line, I'm looking for parallel. I, R, T, and I'm rotating my paper as I go. This feels better. And especially as we're making little right-hand turns, we want to make sure that our text follows, because we don't want our text to go vertical. So we don't want to write, let's see, we've got this right angle here. We don't want to write it this way. It's just so much harder to read. So we want to radiate that corner. This feels easier to read than that. So we want to radiate our text, okay? Now, it seems, you're like, oh, well, this makes perfect sense, obviously, but when it comes to writing cursive, that's where things get a little trickier. Okay. I've got a few comments. When the undercoat dries before overlapping. Yes, I love that glazing of colors. And sometimes you'll see right here, this particular line wasn't fully dry when I overlapped this, and it creates a bleeding effect. This is kind of fun to have that bleeding effect. So it's great to glaze over, but it's also fun when you have these little spots that blend into each other. You're less likely to have these blendy spots when you're working with a paper that's not necessarily designed to be used for watercolor, but you're definitely going to get it a lot more when you're working with more of a watercolor paper. So it's just a slightly different effect. Would you ever introduce a metallic or a contrasting color for a focal point in the last line? Dominique, that is a fantastic question. So what you would want to do is maybe make that contrasting line first, because that's the line that you want to emphasize the most, rather than last, because your lines, as you get further and further into the design process, your lines kind of get dictated by all what's going on with all of the other lines. So I would recommend doing your contrasting line first, and then build everything all around it afterwards. Metallics are really great. You can even just glaze metallic. So I can look at this and be like, okay, I really like this line the most. This is my favorite line. I want to add a metallic to it. So you can just glaze right over it with a metallic that's in a similar color all the way along here. And then that's going to make that pop. So you can do that at any point. Okay, tell us about the brush that I am using the Simply Simmons. It's a 12, I think it's like a 3/8 inch brush. I like a 1/2 inch brush. I feel like that's gonna be really great. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I've had this particular Simply Simmons brush for almost a decade. These brushes are such a great value. They are awesome. You're gonna love it. If you don't have one already, you should just go do yourself a favor and get one today. Okay, let's talk about cursive a little bit. So I've got my retractable pen ready, and I've got my line. Let's do a wavy line. So I'm going to be moving my paper quite a bit like this as I write. So this is, so I'm adjusting my angle pretty much after every word I write. Now this is a tight turn and I'm writing a long word, so I'm going to just lift. Am I spelling that right? Okay, so here I wrote, this is the retractable pen from Sakura and I love it so. Let's talk about a few little cheats. I could have written, I love it so much, but I was running out of space and I knew I was running out of space. So I'm like, you know what? It actually makes sense if I just omit the word much and just write so and put an exclamation point. So as we write, sometimes I'll adjust what I'm writing so that it'll fit on the line. That said, if you're feeling, when you're feeling like, oh goodness, I'm running out of space, I've got a few cheats for you. So a couple of things that you can do, like the word and, it's a throwaway word. So we can do a little ampersand instead. Oops, I'm writing that the wrong way. So the width of and is this, and the width of the ampersand is that. That saves you a lot of space, right? The is another throwaway word. Is the, it's kind of a combination throwaway word. So we can write it in an all caps style and really, really small. Is the. So we've got this much width for the cursive version and this much width for the print capital version. So you can save yourself a little bit of micro space in between your words as you're writing, and that'll help you save space. Also, if you're like, oh, I have too much space, then start thinking about, well, I have contractions, and that you can spell out the whole contractions. Instead of like can't, you can spell cannot. So those are things that you can really play with to elongate and shorten your text so that it all works. Okay, Michelle and Melody are asking about how to make the jelly rolls work again when they're not working. And sometimes it happens and it can be so frustrating. So I'm going to touch on that just a little bit. So first things first, we have this nice little roller ball that's inside there. If you press too hard on the roller ball and damage the ball itself, it can dent it, and then it causes problems when you're gliding across the page. So if it's starting to not write very well, don't press harder, press softer. That's the first thing. It feels very, it doesn't feel very intuitive. So you want to do that. The other thing is get a scratch piece of paper, one that has a little bit of tooth to it, so it has some texture to it, and just lightly just press on that roller ball to get it to click back and forth. And if you listen very carefully, just get your ear up close to the roller ball, you can just click on that and the ink will start to draw out. Just click along the page and you can draw that out. If you're still having problems, your finger is actually a really great way. Sometimes there are little crusties that form on the outside between the roller ball and the, what is this called? The pen tip itself. And so you can just rub it and twist along your index finger to get those little crusties off. Totally happens because sometimes I forget to put my lid on or retract the pen. It's totally fine. So that is something that you can do. And that works like pretty much all the time. So let's write something here. I'm going to write on the blue with my green. This class has been so fun. And what I am doing here, I'm rotating my paper. And look at all the space. So I can write something else. I have learned and we can say so much or a lot. I think we can fit so much in here rather than a lot. I think spacing wise, it's going to be better. So much. So we've written around there. And what we want to think about is when we're writing on this text, our text, we want to write our text first, and then we want to do our fillers. So we can grab, I'm going to grab the silver and let's get the silver going. Let's do white instead. Oh, here we go. The silver is so fun. Okay. We can write little dots. I learned how to write on a curve line. I'm just gonna make this is the eternal run-on sentence. Okay, so here we've come across a little crossroads, and I wanted to touch on this real quick. We've got just a few more minutes left, but these two lines intersect each other. One's got to go behind and one's got to go above. So because I've already written on this line, I'm going to take this line and put it behind. So so I'm going to finish this out. I want it to basically say, I want to learn more from Michael's. Let's do that, right? I want to learn from Michael's. So what goes above and what goes behind? So we can say, okay, well, even though this is a more dominant color, I want to be able to write a whole more than just like a couple of letters at a time. this green is going behind and this blue is going ahead. So I'm going to just pretend. So I'm going to write my F and go into my R and then pretend and just hover my pen above the page. So let's look at it from a different angle. So I'm writing my F, I'm going in, and just as I hit this blue line, I pick up my pen and I just write in the air. And I'm like, okay, I can actually just keep going like this. So I don't know if you can really see it, but I've cropped off that S behind the blue. So we've got our text going behind another piece of text. Okay, then we want to eventually add design elements. So these design elements are really a great way for you to build muscle memory. So I'm going to grab my blue glitter pen, and I'm going to do a bunch of I call these railroad ties. It's kind of what they are. So I'm just going to just draw these straight lines, and I'm going to try and keep them roughly the same size and roughly the same distance apart. And let's have this go above the dark green and below the blue. And as I rotate, I am radiating those lines all the way around. So that's a really fun way to add a decorative element. The other thing that we can do with these straight lines that we've got going on, these lines that terminate inside, we can draw long lines, long horizontal lines. So coming from here, just writing lines and creating a bit of a close striped texture along there. See how fun that is? Now, if you're going really quick and you're in a bit of a rush and your watercolor hasn't fully dried, it's going to be a little tricky to write on top of it. So get a hair dryer, dry it off, or work on the white space first, or work on the spaces that have been fully dried. That's going to be a lot easier. That being said, it doesn't damage your pen to write within the wet spot. So if you accidentally write over a wet spot and it stops writing, it's actually not damaging the pen. Oh, the ampersand question. Thank you for the reminder, Joan. Okay, so you want to start from the bottom, go diagonal to the left, bring it up, around, over, up to the top, and cross over. So let's do that one more time. All the way up to the left, around, bring it up, and dip it down and over. And there is your ampersand. Such a fun little ampersand to do. I do it quite often. It saves up so much space. That is all the time that we have for today. It was so wonderful to spend an hour with you. I'm seeing a few. Colleen, that is beautiful work. I want to see more if you feel comfortable to show what you've done. Yvonne, beautiful. Annette, love those dark colors. Fantastic work. I'm loving what I'm seeing. You have done spectacularly, each one of you. Thank you so much for coming. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at Melissa Fur. I would love to see more of your work. You can tag me there. Oh, Sadia and Carol, beautiful, stunning work. I love it. Feel free, and Laura, beautiful. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions at all. And thanks to Michaels for hosting and Sakura. We love, love, love their watercolors. I'm obsessed with their retractable jelly rolls. They've been so much fun to work with. Thank you again so much. I'm going to turn the time over to Felicia.
Thank you so very much all for coming, and we hope to see you on the next class. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.